Today, I went to a pancake breakfast hosted by my apartment complex. It revived the mystery of Emmanuel Levinas's philosophy. What does this have to do with our loneliness epidemic? At breakfast, I connected with a young man who works from home and wants to make friends after moving here. I spoke with a staff member cooking pancakes about the need to lose weight. I connected with a woman sharing she was going to Maui for her birthday. I connected with a girl about the story she was writing. According to Emmanuel Levinas, the first responsibility of our existence is the face-to-face encounter with the other. It is not just ethics, it is the fundamental action of my being to connect with another. Genesis opens with God's declaration that it is not good for man to be alone. Jesus tells us the highest life is to love God and love others, even to extend to loving our enemies. We are created to connect with others. The highest life is not money, fame, or power. Science bears this out. A life well lived is one connected to others. Look up, see the face. It is not good for us to be alone.
Emmanuel Levinas's philosophy of the face-to-face encounter represents a transformation by relocating the foundation of living from abstract ideas of the self to the concrete presence of another, the very act of loving the other. Its power lies not in providing a rulebook for action, but in describing a primordial, inescapable experience that redefines what it means to be human. For Levinas, the face is not a mere object of perception, but an epiphany, a revelation of the infinite within the finite. In the vulnerable, mortal, and unique countenance of the other, we encounter a fundamental ethical command that precedes all our conscious choices and intellectual systems. Levinas dismantles this egocentric starting point. Before we can even ask, "What do I know?" or "What is my purpose?" we are already confronted by the demand of the other. The face-to-face encounter interrupts our complacent, self-contained existence. In its sheer confronting of love, its irreducible otherness, the other calls my loneliness into question. I am not merely with others in a world, I am with them, bound by a responsibility that is before my freedom. This responsibility is not chosen. It is the very nature of life, and eternally infinite. This leads to the second, profoundly challenging aspect of living, the concept of asymmetrical responsibility. For Levinas, our obligation to the other does not depend on what they can do for us. It is a one-way, non-reciprocal demand. We are responsible even for the other's responsibility. Its power rests on its radical, almost excessive demand for generosity. It calls for a hospitality of the self that is always already breached by the presence of the other. In a world preoccupied with rights and reciprocity, Levinas insists on a prior, foundational obligation that makes such concepts possible. The power of the face-to-face is its urgent relevance in our age of social isolation. Contemporary society often mediates our relationships through systems, statistics, and digital interfaces, allowing us to reduce the other to a type or object to be used for our own ends. Levinas's philosophy is a vital, forceful reminder that human life begins not with a principle, but with a person. The face resists totalization, or the reduction of the other to a thing among other things. They cannot be fully comprehended or contained, as a consumer product, by my ideas about them. Its vulnerability is a summons that cuts through abstraction, demanding a personal response. It compels us to see the human being behind the immigrant, the victim, or the stranger. The enduring power of Levinas's thought is its capacity to re-enchant the human encounter with human dignity. It tells us that before we are political actors, consumers, or citizens, we are human beings, constituted by our infinite responsibility for the other who faces us, and are called to love one another. This is not a comforting philosophy of sympathy, but a disruptive, demanding call to radical hospitality, challenging us to find our humanity not in our autonomy, but in our answerability to another.